Nicholas Latifi is honestly embarrassing. How can a Formula 1 driver, someone who's meant to be in the top 20 quickest and best drivers in the world, end up being 21st in a 20-car championship twice? I mean, if you have crash compilation videos made about you, then something obviously isn't going well. And how come he was in Formula 1 for so long, considering all the young and promising talent in junior formulas? So in his entire 3-year Formula 1 career, just how bad was Nicholas Latifi? Now in 2020, it wasn't the best start off to the season. He started it with a crash in Austria. How nice. Now it doesn't sound too bad, but remember it was 2020 and we started the season there. He crashed in his first ever FP3 session with that Williams and went on to not qualify very well because of the crash damage. But saying that, during his 2020 campaign, he didn't do too bad. Now usually we like to look at the teammates, and that's the best comparison to see how well they did. And if you look at the standings, George Russell did beat Latifi in the standings thanks to his outing in the Mercedes. But if George didn't get that call up because Lewis Hamilton got COVID, Latifi would have actually beaten him in the driver's standings. What? Latifi beating Russell? That doesn't sound right. But it's actually true. Then let's move on to 2021, where he had about maybe 2 or 3 highlighting moments. Is that a word, highlighting? He obviously scored Williams' first points in a few years with a P7 and his teammate George Russell on P8 behind him. And in Spa, let's not forget that he qualified P9 in the wet. Wow, what an amazing performance. Well done, Latifi. Brilliant. But this was sort of overshadowed by, I don't know, George Russell getting P2 in a Williams. P2. The only person who out-qualified George Russell was Max Verstappen. That's pretty good going. And then probably the biggest highlight of the 2021 season was Abu Dhabi, where Lewis Hamilton was crying after Latifi gifted Max Verstappen a championship. It's probably one of the only few drivers who can say they have an assisted championship. That should be on the statistics. It's like 61 race starts, 0 wins, 0 podiums, 0 fastest laps, 0 poles, but 1 championship assist. Now onto 2022, and the first 2 races of the season don't sound too great. In Hungary, he finished P16, which was second last of the finishes, thanks to Nico Hülkenberg, who finished P17. But to be fair to Nico, he did just jump into that Aston Martin with like 3 days notice, and the Aston Martin was slower than, we've got to give him some sort of credit. And then in Saudi Arabia, Latifi also crashed there. And like usual, he blamed it on the car, saying something wasn't feeling right and hit the wall. And this sort of pattern seemed to emerge all throughout the season. Like in Suzuka, where he took a wrong turn during the track and was like, guys, I'm pulling over because the car didn't feel right. Sorry, that was not Canadian accent. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah guys, the car didn't feel right. It didn't quite feel right. I don't know if that was good, sorry. And then, blamed it on the car and went off, and who really cares? Another incident which really made his 2022 was Australia. We crashed into his fellow Canadian Lance Stroll, and it caused an insane amount of crash damage for Williams. Again, it is debatable whose fault it was. It's about 50-50 for Lance and Latifi, the battle of the Canadians. But either way, he could have avoided it. So I think we all know why he stayed in Formula 1 for so long. Michael Latifi, his dad, who owns Sofina Foods, which is that big brand you've probably seen plastered all over the Williams the past couple of years. And did you know that Michael Latifi is also an investor in McLaren Racing? What? Imagine Nicholas Latifi went to McLaren instead of Williams. Do you think he would have rivaled Lando Norris or Daniel Ricciardo? I feel like he could have maybe got a podium. There's some drivers who you think just lucky enough to get a podium. I think if he's in a McLaren in 2021, he would have got a podium. But here's the thing I'm asking. When Williams was bought by Doralton Capital in 2020, why did they choose to keep Nicholas Latifi? He's shown that he wasn't great. Yes, the car wasn't great, but we could see himself compared to George Russell that he wasn't doing well. Well, here's why I think they kept him. When they knew the 2022 regulations were coming along and Mercedes wanted to promote their protege, they had an empty driver slot. And of course they filled it with Alex Albon. But because he was new, they needed someone to be there for the transition period from the new regulations from 2021 to 2022. And they thought, hey, Latifi, yes, he's not the best driver in the world, but at least he has the data from the team in the past couple of years to help us transition to 2022. You see, with the benefit of hindsight, choosing him probably wasn't the best guy for the job, and they're probably better off getting another rookie. Because from the feedback that he's giving, he's sort of just slagging off the car all day, saying it's terrible, and that probably doesn't help the engineers and mechanics and everything trying to tune the car and make setup to make it look better. So Williams probably fell back the most from 2021 to 2022. Maybe AlphaTauri is a contender for this. But now they've gone with Logan Sargent, who I think it's going to be pretty hard to be as bad as Latifi, but we'll see how he does. But I guess the thing that really hindered Latifi was the fact that he got to 20th in the standings after he got that result in Silverstone thanks to all the crashes and stuff. Then we had Nick de Vries come in and destroy him and get points in debut when Latifi hadn't scored any that entire season. And I think that was the final nail in the coffin, which put Latifi into retirement. But where does he go next? I'm saying he'll join the British lawnmower racing competition thing. I really want to do that.